Hello, hello, hello. How are you? What's up? What's up? What's up? I am now live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram. We are trying something new. And so I'm excited for it. So I'm going to let people come in the room. Feel free to let me know where you're tuning in from because it is glow time. All right. I want y'all to, fill up the comments with glow. All right. Because listen, whether you are a gentleman, whether you are a lady, okay, all the ladies in the place with style and grace, okay, we want you to glow. It's glow time, all right? So, guys, get your glow on, girls, get your glow on. We are getting ready to have a good time. So, yes, my name is Mia Hall, and welcome to Brown Girls Glow Live. This is a show where we usually talk to teenage girls about how to glow, give, lead, own, and write your destiny. This weekend, I'm having an event, and it's called It's Glow Time. And I just wanted to come on to my social media platforms, to my communities, to be able to speak to you just more about what's going to be happening this weekend, right? Because I know there might be some burning questions. But, this all started with, or the first time that I promoted this, it started with my interview with Kevin Hart. And in that interview, I said, what's the best business advice, right, that you can give that, that you would like for people to have, right? And so he said, bet on yourself. And so I was like, yes, I believe that, betting on yourself is a great piece of business advice. And so I think that those who are going to come to this class, this masterclass this weekend, you're going to bet on yourself. So let me tell you a little bit about how I bet on myself and got to, where I am today. So, like I said, my name is Mia Hall, and I'm the founder of Brown Girls Glow. I'm also the founder of Parables from the Projects Productions, which you'll see their logo right here. That is my production company that everything else falls under, right? So you might see Brown Girls Glow, you might see Hood to Harvard. We also have that account on Instagram. But yes, all of that falls under Parables from the Projects Productions. And so I founded this company because for over 10 years, I've been working in the media space. I've been creating content. I've been writing for Black Enterprise, NBC BLK, Shadow and Act under Blavity. NBC News allowed me to cover their All-Star event, cover the HBCU Classic. So I've taken over Snapchat social media accounts for them. And it has been a great ride. Also, in those 10 years, I wrote for Slam Magazine. I wrote for ESPNW. Shout out to Adina, who connected me with. I was writing about winter sports, y'all, but it was awesome. I was interviewing like the athletes for the Winter Olympics. It was a great time. But yeah, so I've had a variety of experiences. Nike, one time flew me to Oregon to cover their sneaker collaboration that the University of Oregon, right, Nike, and a children's hospital was working together to create sneakers. So they allowed children that were in long-term hospital care to be able to design sneakers. And so I covered that story. And it actually but it actually was in Bleacher Report. Shout out to Ben Osborne, that we made that happen, right? And so, and that was at a time, that was so funny because that was at a time when, I had bet on myself, and I was thinking about moving to California. So that's the story time that I'll, pretty much start with, even though it's been 5 minutes. But so this is why it's different, because I can't say hello to the people on Instagram Live. But hi, people on Instagram Live. Hi, Gabby, and let me see who else. Oh, Chanel, what's up, Houston? So I can see y'all, but I can't like see y'all. Oh, maybe I can do it here. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Hey, Carla. Oh, wait, I can show a couple comments on screen. If you're on YouTube, I can show you comments on screen, I believe. So, whether on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram Live, we are on all the platforms. So we are doing the things. But yeah, so I know you're like the story. So in whew, let's start with why I got into media seriously, right? So when I was in high school, I was able to take this College Now course. I know, many people know probably about College Now courses in New York. If you weren't in New York, you had a similar program in your school where they allowed you to take college courses. So I signed up for a media course because I was, I was interested in being like a WNBA player, but I think that I also just always had an interest in like television. I knew I wanted to be a VJ because I love TRL, Total Request Live on MTV. And I was like, I'm going to be like Carson Daly. And so that led me in high school to take a course, right? That was called like Introduction to Media. And like one of the first things that my teacher taught us, or that my teacher said, was that, you know, media is important. They taught us about like I think it's 7 or 8 different forms of media, like books, radio, TV, internet, newspapers, magazines. Did I already say books? But yeah, all the forms of media, right? So I was like, okay, this is cool. And then he talked about how, and I don't know how, accurate the stat is, but I know the sentiment that he said after Marilyn Monroe had death by suicide or died by suicide, the next day, like the suicide rates went up, basically. So like after everybody saw that on the front news, on the paper, they were saying that that the suicide rates went up. And I was like, wow, like media is that powerful that, they can influence like, a nation, or, just influence more people to do something, like to take action, to move. So that's what piqued my first interest in media. Then being a basketball player, I started to really pursue my sports. I actually tried to pursue media. It really didn't work out, admittedly. At Hampton University, they have a very, prestigious program. And, I know a lot of people don't like to talk about it. And I think that somebody told me like, oh, you shouldn't talk about, how you didn't get into the journalism school. But hey, I don't know if it was because I wasn't a good test taker, all these things. Either way, I take my time when I write, and this was a time test, and it was just not for me. So in college, I did not continue as a broadcast journalism major, right? Was like the VJ dreams, maybe they're over. But it, of course, we're going to circle back to that. So I had to pray about it and choose a major that was more aligned with, what I had experience in. And I was like, God was showing me like sport management, go into sports. So I did go into sports. I worked, in sports for 10 years. And it actually, sports was what led me back into media, right? So though I didn't have a journalism degree, I graduated with a degree in sport management. I still went to Harvard. I still graduated. Being in sport management actually allowed me to graduate in a less amount of time because I can do my internship in the summer, get those 12 credits, and be able to graduate a year early. So did that 2005. I know I'm telling my age, but in 2005, I interned at the Knicks. Shout out to the Knicks. We hope they take it all the way this year. I interned at the Knicks, went to graduate school at Harvard, study education, Harvard Graduate School of Education. And then after I left there, I went to work in basically like sports education. So Power Play NYC, that educates and empowers girls through sports, right? Combined my degrees. Worked at the WNBA for like 4 months as a project employee. Then I worked at the High School of Sports Management because that was, of course, education, sport management, the high school sports management. It was a perfect place for me to be able to use both degrees and both my passions, right? But in the third year, right, they wanted to start a blog, talk about the events, you know. So, you know, I was there and able to help them start that blog because of my media passion, my media interest. Of course, I wanted to. Like 4 months into it, it's February. My supervisor is like, I think you should go to the All-Star game. And I was thinking about it, but I was like, oh, I haven't been since I've been in Philly. I went to one All-Star weekend in Philly, you know, with Shannon. Um, she and my dad took us because I used to be obsessed with Allen Iverson because what basketball player, you know, in the early 2000s, 90s wasn't. So yeah. So anyway, got sent to the All-Star game in 2011. And then, you know, that's when the journalism bug, you know, really caught fire. So, and went to like almost every year after that up to 2018. So from 2011 to 2018, minus the New Orleans year in 2014, I went to every All-Star weekend. So, and reported at the events or had an event of my own. So yeah, so that's when journalism came back in, right? So fast forward to, trust me, this story is going somewhere. So in 2011 is when I went to my first All-Star game, but I was still working at the school. So I wasn't in media full time. And I was loving sports, right? I love to be in sports. But I knew that I wanted a change, right? So, and the Nets were coming to Brooklyn. Like for me to be from Brooklyn, love working in sports, and then for there to be like for basketball to be, you know, my favorite sport or the sport that I played and thought that I was going to be an athlete in, right? For there to be a team coming to my hometown, like of course I love the Knicks, but you know, for there to be a new team coming to my hometown, yeah, I was like, no, I gotta work for the Nets. So for 2 years, I basically pursued like getting a job with the Nets. I used to pass by the stadium that they were building, Barclays Center, every day on my way to work when I was working at the school. Loved the school and, of course, all the opportunities that they gave me. But I knew that, you know, that I also wanted to, you know, pursue this next goal of working for the Nets. So, you know, networked, got to the Nets. Loved it. Started as their first community manager. For, you know, being the liaison between the community and, you know, and the team and actually the whole arena. So, you know, it was like Brooklyn boxing, Brooklyn, you know, shows, hockey, like all of the entities in Barclays Center as a whole, including the Nets, is what I was helping to promote, to be the community liaison for. And so, you know, that was great. I enjoyed it. But then in 2014, we see Trayvon Martin, you know, just get killed by a vigilante. Like, yes, Carl, I see your comment about, I would just go put it in there. But yeah, but in 2014, you know, we see Trayvon Martin. Then, you know, we see all of these young boys, young girls being killed for absolutely no reason. I was like, oh, no. Once the Black Lives Matter movement started, it was like, okay, no, what am I going to do for justice? What am I going to do to help? It was really Mike Brown, though, Mike Brown was the straw that broke the camel's back. Because I said, this young man that just graduated from high school, he has beautiful graduation pictures, but yet some news outlets are choosing to say, oh, you know, this thug that deserved to be killed. Like, where did that come from? And then remember, move it back to 12th grade when I said that, you know, I know the impact that, you know, media has on people. I said, you know what? This is it. This is what I'm going to do. I remember Ava DuVernay also saying that, you know, she wanted to use her like pen and, you know, writing stories as a way for her to fight for social justice. And that's the same feeling that I felt, you know, in that time. So all of that year, all of 2015, I was praying. I prayed that I worked 40 hours a week in media because I wanted that to be my way that I was contributing to the movement. Like, yes, I'm going to go out there and protest when I can, but how's the long term, how am I going to support, Black Lives Matter movement, but also just support social justice for the underserved communities that I'm a part of and that I'm from. So I was like, I got to do media, but I wouldn't leave the Nets. I did not want to leave my job at all. I was like, no, I had benefits, I was like, I was still living with my mom. So my money was able to, stretch. So, we were traveling and, just doing the things, saving up my money so I could buy a home, all the things. But I'm still praying 40 hours a week, Lord, and I wrote my resignation letter. I wrote my resignation letter towards the end of the year. I was like, yeah, I'm going to leave. Did not leave. Come Martin Luther King Day, I went down to DC to speak on a panel for the Washington Wizards. And I took, the Martin Luther King Day, took it off, whatever, come back and they were already shifting things in the company. A lot of people had gotten, let go because of the restructure. And yeah, I was a part of that restructure. Basically, they were like, we're removing your position. So it wasn't like I was replaced by anybody. It was like a restructuring of the company, and it just wasn't there anymore. And so yeah, so I had to leave. I don't even know if I've talked about that a lot publicly, but yeah, I had to leave. And so I'll get to the betting on myself part 16 minutes later, but it'll come. It's coming. So had to leave, was forced out. And not an easy time, but I knew that, I had been procrastinating from doing it. So, sometimes God has to slip the rug from out under you for you to actually listen. And so that's what happened. So for, a while I was looking for a new role, and of course I was looking for a role in media. And so I reached out to some people, I think about 10 or 12 mentors and friends that are mentors. And I said, okay, like, let's, I told my friends that I'm looking for a new role. Right. And yeah, I told my friends that I'm looking for a new role. And I got a response, right, from Gabrielle, now Gambrell. And she said that, the people at NBC were looking for an associate editor. They had just changed it from the Griot, which of course still exists, but under another outlet. But they had just changed it to NBC BLK, and they were looking for an associate producer. And so I was like, NBC BLK, like I get to write, like for a brand that specifically is for Black people. I was like, Lord, this is for me. But, it still took, I had to meet with Amber Payne, and, just, tell her, my passions and things like that, of course. So, and at that time I was speaking, I was doing what I had to do. And managing accounts, managing social media accounts. So this is where the experience comes in. I'm telling you all this journey because this is going to fit into 25 minutes, but I'm going to sit there with people for 4 hours, right? With you, one-on-one consultation, whether you're online, or one on maybe 2 or 3. Whether it's online, in person, and I'm going to be able to do individual coaching, right, throughout the time. And so either way, I end up getting the job. And so I was able to get a contract with NBC BLK for a year. So I reported stories, like I said, was going to All-Star for NBC BLK and NBC News, reporting on their Snapchat stories. I also covered the draft. I forgot, for NBC News. I knew I covered 3 events: the draft, HBCU Classic, and All-Star Weekend. But yeah, so yeah, was able to do that for a year. So that really helped me to get into media. Then I said, you know what, if I don't get another job at NBC after this contract is up in 2017, I was going to move to LA. I had been speaking about to different people, different, studio heads and things not studio heads, but people at NBC, Rockefeller Center, about, what should be my next move? And they're like, you know what? LA. Like I kept hearing, move to LA. And so that's what I said I was going to do. Thankfully, I was able to work with Black Enterprise. They had a research position that was open. Shout out to Alfred Edmond and Selena and everybody else there, Kristen, Janelle that was there at the time. But yeah, it was so many people at Black Enterprise that really helped me out. I'll owe them, forever. Atlanta, if y'all are in Atlanta, the Disruptor Summit is next weekend, the 17th and 18th in Atlanta, Georgia. So y'all pull up, but I'm definitely going to be there. But yeah, so I worked at Black Enterprise that summer and winter. And then, I told them I'm going to, to leave. It was a part-time role anyway, but or at least I made it part-time because I did bet on myself. That's when I had to start betting on myself. So I took that role. It could have been 5 days a week, but I said, I'm going to work 3 days a week so that I can focus on speaking and so that I can focus on all my other media endeavors. Did that. And I was still like writing, like I said, for ESPNW, Slam Magazine. Shout out to them. Their 30th anniversary is coming up, which I'm sad I'm going to miss that event. But yes, so still writing, freelancing. Like I was like, I'm going to do media. I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to do media. And so, yes, I just kept praying, like, and just started like, making a way for me to make LA happen. I actually went to Atlanta for a little bit to figure out if I wanted to come down here where I am now to Atlanta to pursue media. But then I went to LA and just kind of like fell in love. And I just knew that was more geared toward what I wanted to do. And I could stay with my family out there if needed. But yeah, at the time I really didn't even know because it was no room for me. So I just had to just go on a wing and a prayer. So basically, fast forward to December 2017. I hope y'all are still with me. If y'all still with me, please leave a comment. That we're still with you. What's up, Taylor, Fatima? I see a couple people in the IG. I can't do the wave, but know that I'm waving at y'all. But yes, Janae, what's up, y'all? Let's see, my cousin over here, Monique. Oh wow. Okay, I think I missed a couple people, but yes, thank y'all for joining. Still here. Okay, what else you know? Oh, okay. Marcellus, what's up? Oh, this is my Hampton buddy. I'm well. Over here telling my story, chatterboxing, because I have an event in Atlanta that anybody can get tickets to online or in person. Y'all just go to startnow.eventbrite.com. I should probably left that somewhere, but either way, we're getting out this whole media story, right? That's led me to this point right here at 11:35 p.m. Eastern. So December 2017, thankfully in November, let's say November, I didn't know where I was going to stay. I did not have a job lined up. When I went out there, I still didn't have a job lined up. But thankfully, somehow, I don't know who connected me with Viacom. If y'all remember, please leave a comment. Like, if the person that connected me with Viacom remembers, please leave me a comment because I don't remember how I got connected to Viacom. But some way, somehow, started working with Viacom. I believe it was somebody at Hampton, actually, Marcellus. So I believe it was somebody at Hampton that, was saying that they were looking for not volunteers, actually, paid workers for their holiday party. Anyway, so I started working with them in New York and was able to carry that over in LA. So I had a little, but that was on an event by event basis. But in November, I went to LA actually to visit. I met a lot of people, and me and these, I want to be very transparent in here, right? So I met these women. One of them I already knew. One of them I knew through a friend, Kelsey, who said, oh, you're at this event? My other friend is like posting at this event on IG. Granted, this is Amy Aniobi, the GOAT, writer for Insecure, Rap-ish, all of this, right? New movies coming out, super special, everything is her company. So we're at this event with Amy Aniobi, Yvonne Orji, Chidima Ume, my friend. We went to the event together. We met Shaquilla Stewart, who's like just one of my best friends now. We met two other girls, and we called ourselves the 13 because it was the 13th, all this stuff. Either way, we had a chain fast and prayer, right? We said for 7 days, I think, or maybe 13 days, 3 would take this one. 3 would take this day. I mean, one person would take 3 days. The next person would take the next 3 days, next 3 days, next 3 days, next 3 days, right? So we had this chain prayer. So anyway, in my 3 days or whatever, at the end of those, my prayer for it, you know, I don't do this anymore. This is another story for another day. But, you know, I had specifically said that I wanted to, like, I'm trying not to anymore. I'll just say this really quickly, like fast to get something, you know, like it's more so now I try to, the focus of my fast is more so to like hear from God, not to just be like, oh yeah, a genie in a bottle, how sometimes I could treat God, and I don't want to be that way. So thank you, Carla Isaiah Cover too. I'll say this. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Lord, increase my faith. Yes, we all need it. I pray for that for all of us. So on my day, I was praying that I would have a place to stay because, mind you, you know, my family is out there, but their house is full, like full house. And so I'm praying, you know, like, God, I don't know where I'm going to stay. You know, it's going to be a church. Somebody going to let me live with them because I didn't have anybody. So anyhow, I had Ashley on the last day, thankfully, because there was a party, my friend Charisma's mom's birthday party, maybe 70th birthday, something like that, dinner, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, boom, finish the fast. I'm going to the dinner. Bam, bam, bam. But I wasn't thinking like that at this dinner is the place where I would get housing. So basically, I go to the dinner and I'm telling my friend Ashley, who I knew through Brooklyn Women's Prayer Group that we had, community. And, you know, we're just partying, eating, enjoying ourselves, whatever. Of course, I didn't say anything about the fast, but, you know, I just told her, hey, you know, she was like, what's going on? I'm like, yeah, I'm about to move to California. I don't know where I'm going to stay though. She was like, oh, you can stay with my mom. What? Like, she said, oh, you can stay with my mom. Yes, I was outside. Okay. Listen, okay. Outside with the saints. Okay. So she said, you can say, I was like, what do you mean? She was like, yeah, my mom lives there, but you know, she has it was probably like a 3-bedroom. And she's staying by herself. She was like, you know, of course, you know, I'll ask her or whatever, but you know, she was like, I'm sure she probably, you know, let you stay with her. Within 24 hours, the next morning, she's like, yeah, my mom said yes. Like, my mom said that you could stay with her, no cost, you know, like, because I said I would need about 3 months. She said you can stay with her 3 months, blah, blah, blah. And that was it. That was like the end of it because I had already had my ticket. I already had my one-way ticket. I don't know that story. I probably have to look it up in my journal somewhere of when I said, you know what, I'm just getting my one-way ticket. But at some point, I got my one-way ticket December 30th, 2017 to go to California. And I was just like, I'm just going to go. And so yeah, but, you know, God made a way at my friend Charisma's mom birthday party. Shout out to Miss Bowden. She let me actually stay there until May. So yeah, but I bet on myself. You know, God provided housing in November. December, I left. Was able to transition into that beautiful home. And then it was from there, I had to go to California and look for a job. So all this to say, because I know this is a long story. And of course, you know, I'll share more on Saturday. And, you know, if anybody joins any other offers or coaching with me, you know, I'm happy to share. But, you know, I just want to say that it did work out. I was able to, you know, work. I went out there without a job, but on my birthday weekend, I was able to get a call back from the Steve Harvey talk show. It was called Steve, and work for them. That was my first TV job. So, and was able to work with him for, it'll be 6 years this July. So that paid off, betting on myself, because you have to do that. I will say that it wasn't done alone. I was in coaching programs. I remember I was in a coaching program that was thousands of dollars. I don't remember. It could have been like maybe 6,000 total or something like that. And I was paying like it was split up over months. And, I had made this investment and then I lost my job and I was like, ooh, I told them like, oh my God, how am I gonna do this? It wasn't no refund. So it wasn't like, they was like, oh yeah, They was like, no, this is your chance. I was like, okay. That's why I did the whole working 3 days a week and stuff like that. So yeah. And, but it all worked out because thankfully, I didn't have to go into too much debt or anything like that. But yeah, was able to work several jobs. But all that to say, so Saturday, it's glow time. I'm going to help people to start their podcast. I've helped, the Vault Empowers. It's now a network on Fireside. But so that story really quickly in sum, because I really want to wrap this up. When the Steve show ended, I was on the last season. When the Steve show ended, I was going to work for Family Guy, but somebody from the Steve Talk Show, they saw I did this program with the PAs there. It was like a lunch and learn, and it was a professional development program because that's what I learned in like the coaching programs, right? And so, and I also learned that, you should always send ideas to your boss. So that's a tip. There's a longer part to that, but always send ideas to your boss. So anyway, so I sent this idea to the executive producers and they were like, sure, you could do it. And granted, it was like a week left of filming, I believe. So they let me do it. Both of the executive producers spoke at this lunch and learn. And then, so fast forward to, Memorial Day weekend, I don't want to lie to myself, 2019, they basically, Steve Harvey Global basically asked me to come on, and they were doing a revamp of his Act Like a Success, Think Like a Success network. So that's when I came on to Vault Empowers. And so, was there, 2020 hit, pandemic. Then we were going to have a whole big, huge event, but of course we couldn't have it because of the pandemic. And so when we had to shift, we were already going to do an online learning platform, but it was more robust after that. And then I said that we should do these interviews. Like, of course, once everything was a little bit more safe for you to be able to go and see people take tests, that we should do interviews and call them Vault Empower Talks. Now it's called Vault Empowers Talks. But that was that's the podcast now that I was producing for about almost 2 years before leaving and going to the Stephen Marjorie Harvey Foundation. So that was one podcast that I led. Parables from the Project, started that podcast with my dad in 2019. And now we're turning that into a short film coming out in 2025. And there's more shows on my YouTube page. You can see all of the work that I produce. And I want to help you to do the same thing. I want to help you get your story out there, get your podcast out there, get your web show out there. Like I have done. HBCU Prime is a show. Me as Full Court Press is a show. Brown Girls Go Live. This right here is a show. And I want to teach people how to do the same thing. So I'm going to be going through the Tiger Method. That is, something that I learned and something that I, still teach people to this day, like how to take your talents, right? How to take your intuition, right? Sometimes we just have things that are like inspire us, right? Or, that's intuitive for us. But take your inspiration, take your goals, right? That's the G in Tiger. Take your E, your experiences, and then your resources, right? Put all those things together, and that will lead you closer to your purpose, closer to what your passion is, closer to what you can do, and have the resources, experiences, right? Inspiration to do. So we're going to go through that method. I'm also going to teach you how to goal set, learn, optimize, and observe, and win, right? That's the glow. All right. We are going to teach you how to glow. So it's glow time. I want you all to just take a look at startnow.eventbrite.com. And maybe this is just your chance to just start now, right? Maybe you've just been procrastinating on that one thing that that has been, on the shelf, but it keeps on looking at you from the shelf like, take me off. That idea that you want to get started, start now. Just help me to get started. You can get the online method. If you need any support, let me know. Send me a DM, leave me a comment. I'm open. Okay. So I just wanted to come on and explain that, share a little story of how I bet on myself, share a little bit about how I got into the media that I'm into today. And and just share with you all, because I think that we all should glow, right? Right. All right, y'all. Well, I want you to be inspired. My website is miahall19.com. It is 19 because it's really 1:9. And that is my favorite scripture, which I'll leave y'all with today. Joshua 1:9, which is be strong and courageous. Don't be discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. All right. And I'll say the Lord is your God is with you wherever you go. All right, y'all. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on social media outlets, and share the stream with a friend. All right. See y'all Saturday. Thank you.